What's up, guys? It is One Mind Syndicate in the form of the Sound Alchemist and
Gersh1.
And today we're back bringing you another episode of For the Greater
WAAAGH. This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. That is what
All the Might did. He asks, what race has the strongest / best elite units out there?
Good question.
So before we can actually tell you who, we gotta basically pit them against one another.
Let's start with the most obvious, the Terminator from humanity.
Yeah, the Space Marine Terminator.
I think a Space Marine Terminator is the most elite out of the entirety.
Arguably, because I mean, you could say maybe Stern Guard, Honor Guard,
Yeah. But we're going to choose those to pit up against the other races. And let's talk about the Orcs first, because they have the shittiest elite unit. The Knobs. Knobs are only good in close combat. A Knob would run at a Terminator, and the Terminator would just destroy him with a Flamer or with, a simple bolter, really.
Even a Power Fist.
Yeah.
If for some reason he misses or whatever.
Yeah. The Orcs are gone. Next comes the Tau.
The elite units of the Tau would probably be battlesuits.
Yep.
Or battlesuit pilots. And as we all know, Tau aren't good in close combat, so right there, they're not going to win that fight. But if you're putting them in ranged combat,
they'll win sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, Terminators can come equipped with assault cannons, like you said, bolters, plasma cannons now, depending on what chapter you're coming from.
And most can be teleported right next to the enemy, so melee is almost inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
And now let's move on to the Tyranids. The Nids have the warriors. They have the guard.
Hive guard.
Hive guard. Yeah. But at the end of the day, they're still just organic, and their armor does not compare to Terminator armor. And any type of weapon that we've talked about so far with the Terminator would be able to pierce through.
The squishy parts.
Squishy.
Next up we have Eldar. Did we cover that yet?
No, we haven't covered Eldar yet. So the Eldar have a lot of elite units, and they're all very special, and they're very specific for a certain
single area of combat.
Yeah. So while a lot of them could destroy a Terminator in Terminator armor, if you take out the average, or if you have the average, I think the Terminator is just more well-rounded than your Howling Banshee, who is very flimsy and can easily be torn apart, or your
Swooping Hawks.
Yeah, who can be plucked from the sky with the lightning claw. And then we move on to
the Necrons.
They have the Lynch Guard. Lynch Guard are really, really good.
Yeah, I'd say that'll probably give the Terminators the toughest fight, since they have like hyperphase swords or blades, whatever. Mm-hmm. So that'll cut through Terminator armor pretty easily, since it cuts between atoms, I believe. And they've also got that huge shield. So that's going to be a tough one, definitely.
And on top of that, they have reanimation protocols, so they could always come back to life. This is where, for me, it switches. I think that the guard for Necrons are much more powerful than a Terminator.
And then from there we go to Chaos, which is, I guess would be the same thing, really. You could say maybe Chaos Terminator. So it's
lore-wise, the Chaos Terminator has to be stronger because he's being empowered by Chaos. So lore-wise, more likely than not, the Terminator, the Chaos Terminator is going to win, I think.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of it that way, because it's, you don't really see it in the lore too much, but it makes sense, that Chaos would come out on top. Yeah,
and now from a Necron and a Chaos Terminator, I still give it to the Necrons. I think the Necrons just are a little more advanced. But comment down below. Let us know what you think your elite unit is. Which one did you think? Did you give it to the Chaos?
I'd give it to Chaos. But like you said, going up against the Necrons there, the Necrons seem pretty OP, yeah.
Next question. I have one from... Wow, a lot of suggestions. Am I on the right one? 246876. Are there any significant Grot characters in 40K? Like Skarsnik from Fantasy. There's one Grot character that became a general. and he had the same type of mentality that a Storm Boy does, where he wants everything to be like orderly and very like militaristic. I think you created a video for it, didn't you?
I know there was a 4-part fan lore on the what's it called? I think it was called the Grot Rebellion. Definitely check it out. Like I said, it's a fan lore made about Grots making an uprising, having their own army and looting and whatnot. It's pretty awesome. He does have some like custom conversions and models of this, so definitely check it out.
Next question comes from Ghost Lyle. What Primarch is the most Scottish?
Lemurus, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really know too much about what Scottish people are like.
This one is by High Lord Tedpool. What would happen if a Kroot consumed a Chaos Demon? I don't think they'd be able to. Chaos Demons, when they're killed, they go back to the warp, so there's nothing left for them to eat.
Like eating air.
Yeah.
Which is breathing. Next question comes from Sean Casey. What would happen if an extragalactic human empire that was sent away from the Milky Way galaxy during the Dark Age of technology came back to the Milky Way galaxy? They would slowly fade back.
Like that meme, the Simpsons meme?
Yeah.
Where Homer just like goes back into the bushes.
If they came back, they wouldn't have any choice but to integrate with humanity. The Adeptus Mechanicus might even go as far as like just wiping them out and stealing everything for their own purpose. And then they say, hey, look what we found. When in reality they killed, like, I don't know why they would kill the people though. I don't know. You gotta remember though that if you came back and like let's say you got lost, you got amnesia or something. No. Let's say you went into a coma and you woke up and then somebody came up to you and was like, so while you were gone, this guy showed up. He claimed to be the God Emperor.
No, not God Emperor.
Well,
just the Emperor.
He claimed to be the Emperor, and he was just a G, and he conquered everything, and all of our problems are like disappearing. He's a pretty cool guy, but then he died. Now we worship him because he had to be godly. You would, I think, follow the teachings of the Imperial Creed, and I think that's what the humans would do.
First of all, that's a long coma you were in.
Yeah. Next question.
This one is by Io Samo. Can Necron tech rebel like the Men of Iron, or are they purposefully keeping all of their tech that was not previously Necron tier? Stupid.
Yeah, they could rebel. That's what the flayed.
It was a virus. Yeah. It's a virus that made them rebel. Or like go crazy or whatever.
It's the same thing with the Men of Iron, though.
Yeah, kind of.
And well, yeah. So the Necrons don't have AI though, and that was a big problem with the Men of Iron. Is that artificial intelligence created their own thoughts and they wanted to live on their own.
But wouldn't you say like the Canoptic Wraiths and like the Scarabs and all that are like AI constructs?
No, I don't think they are because they're limited to their protocol. They can't go beyond that. They'll just shut down.
Yeah.
Whereas like you could say, oh, the Necron overlords have AI. Well, no, they just have.
They still have their personality is still.
Personality still there. Yeah. So yeah, they're technically still Necron
tier.
Yeah, Necron tier within Necron bodies.
Oh, this is an interesting one. Swin ABC. Is there any chance of a god being created? The chaos god of misery. There's so much sadness, despair, and suffering. Wouldn't there be a god that can benefit from all of it? The sadness that an Eldar feels when they look at their past, the despair a man feels while waking up at the bottom of a hive city for another grueling day of labor, the sorrow a Marine feels for his lost Primarch, and for the Emperor and all of his fallen brothers. It seems ripe for such a god to exist.
I think it could exist, but I don't think it would be as powerful as like the Chaos gods that exist right now, because the Chaos gods are very like active. When you think of rage, you think of being active, punching stuff. When you think of like Nurgle and like plagues and stuff, you think of like pathogens spreading, all that kind of stuff. When you think of misery, you just think of sitting down. And I think that character could be a god in the warp. Maybe he gets encountered by like Drago while he's exploring the warp, but he would be more of a like a side quest, like tutor, like the boat rower from the River of Styx in like Greek mythology, or Red Skull. Spoiler alert from Infinity War.
It's been what, 3 weeks now? I think it's most
If you haven't watched it, you don't care.
If you haven't watched it, you've probably been spoiled by now.
Yeah, but Red Skull, like, he seems like a big character, but in reality, he's just like a side character.
Yeah, kind of a minor god in the warp.
Yeah, that's a good idea though.
Mm-hmm.
And last question, do you have one?
Oh, this one's by Warmaster Ares, Primarch of the... your name's too long. What would happen if there were new Primarchs created alongside the Primaris Space Marines?
Be blasphemy.
Yeah, I don't know how well Gilliman would take to it, seeing as how, he is a Primarch, and it's like, oh, now they're just creating more of us. Like, you saw what happened back in the day with the Horus Heresy. Let's not make this any into a bigger mess.
Yeah, it would be really funny though if like an old Space Marine like sees Gilliman bitching about it. He's like, excuse me, Primaris Marines, and you told us to suck it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that Chaos would allow something like that to happen. Right? Because initially Chaos disrupted the Emperor from doing it. Why wouldn't he disrupt Call from doing it?
Right. And I think the backlash would be horrible from like fans and stuff, seeing as how they haven't put out all of the Primarchs or even like introduced them into the lore, and now it's like, here's a new batch of Primarchs.
Yeah. And they have lost Primarchs they can still play around with.
Yeah, that's true.
But those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, simply comment down below.
As always, put question for your question, and we'll get to those questions eventually. This is Sound Alchemist.
Gershwan.
And we are out of here.